them and will be continuing, and the fun is only beginning. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE Smackdown every Friday night after the bell. But tonight is a special night because we're doing the recap on a Saturday because I was at a birthday party last night. My name is John Zindel. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
John, was this SmackDown worth it that we waited an extra day? Do we still have the fire burning in our bellies for the April 19th edition of SmackDown? Without further ado, let's find out. John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from this SmackDown edition?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And the lead is the main event, which was a bit of a schmozz, but Naomi wrestles Bailey for the WWE Smackdown title, and Tiffany Straton interferes, and this whole match gets thrown out. Pretty good match, I'd have to say, between Bailey and Naomi. No surprise, Bailey has been really good since we started watching SmackDown again, or WWE again. So not a surprise to see Bailey perform well. Naomi looked good in this one, but Tiffany Straton comes in and interferes, and she's getting more and more airtime and maybe even more of a push, if you will. Dom, what did you think of this main event with Tiffany Straton?
It was a decent wrestling match. Considering how much good stuff was on this episode, I thought it was a little not good towards the end. It almost seemed like they were waiting for something to happen, and then that something was Tiffany Straton. So I think the big deal here is twofold. Number one, Tiffany Straton, we've been talking her up a lot, and it looks like WWE is talking her up a lot too. Like they are ready to push her into something. She's in a title picture now. The next thing is Bailey going to become a transitional champion? Because we're looking at what a triple threat match for the title, maybe at Backlash or soon after, or maybe even a fatal four-way because Io Sky hasn't gotten her rematch yet. So Bailey got her big WrestleMania moment, and now she's not even getting to have her first title defense happen without lots of other people joining the fray here.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We already have just an interference instead of like solidifying, like, oh, Bailey gets a win and we move on, and she's the champ, and remember, now she's your champ. It's more like a little bit, oh, there's a few more monkey wrenches thrown in here, right?
Yeah. WWE doesn't make it easy on baby faces, do they? I mean, Cody Rhodes, they had him win the Royal Rumble, then lose at WrestleMania, then wait another year. He had to win the Royal Rumble again. Then they almost kicked him out of it for The Rock. Then people got mad, so they put Cody Rhodes back in. Then they finally had him win. And even now, you're wondering, okay, well, what's going to happen with this Cody Rhodes title right here? They don't make it easy on baby faces.
No, they definitely don't. I don't know, the Triple H era, the Booker has always been a heel, so he knows how to book the heels, But I actually kind of like this match, and there was one transition I wrote in my notes. I said Dom and I probably really like this one, but nope. The crowd doesn't care. Is there was like a series of pins. There's like some mat wrestling and a series of different pinning combinations between Bailey and Naomi. And the crowd didn't pop at all for it, but I was for it. So,
was it kind of late? I mean, I had a couple. At one point late, Naomi blocks a rose plant with a kick to the head. Then
that was cool.
Leaps over the charging Bailey in the corner, hits a sunset flip for the 2 count. tries to put Bailey directly into the submission hold, which I didn't quite know what it was. But Bailey rolled through for the pinfall attempt to break the hold. That was a neat sequence. And then they started trading punches, and that's when it sort of led to them spilling to the outside and Tiffany Stratton interferes. So I do like when they get into some defensive wrestling that doesn't look too okay. Now you just stay here and don't do anything so I can get to execute the move on you. Like there are a couple of wrestlers who look too much like that to me. Like on the men's side, Tyler Bate, who's in the New Catch Republic. Like when they have early on do some of his fancy looking stuff, it's like his opponent just has to sit there passively and just take it.
Yeah. It's less reactive and feeling like that realistic feel.
Energy. And sometimes the Naomi stuff looks like that. Like the opponent just has to be passive and take it. But sometimes when they get into these sequences here where each of them are wrestling offensively and defensively, I mean, it looks good. It looks like real grappling. It looks athletic, and it looks combative. It looks like it's difficult to do. It looks impressive. I don't know if Naomi is quite at the level as, say, the Baileys and the Bianca Belairs and the Io Skies and Charlotte Flair when she's back and healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's quite there, but she, and then Asuka when she's wrestling as a single. But Naomi's maybe at that second level right below them where, she can put on a pretty good match. And she's maybe right around where Mishin is.
Yeah. Well, Mishin's pretty good.
You're glad to see her in the match, but and maybe like a tad below Michin. And then the question is, where does Tiffany Stratton fit into this? Like, are you pleased that Tiffany Stratton is suddenly in a world title picture, or do you think it's too soon? Do you think she's not shown enough? Are you hesitant? What's your impression of very obviously throwing Tiffany Stratton? Like she's the one standing tall as SmackDown goes off the air.
Yeah, it's almost like it'd be nice to kind of take your time with her because she's good and she's ahead of schedule. But I don't know if she's so ahead of schedule that you push her to the moon and then she gets pushed too hard and then it blows up, right? But maybe she's ready. I mean, she was the NXT Women's Champ and she's looked good up to this point. To even look good in the interference, she like right away does her thing, points to the watch,
It's Tiffany time.
Right away, dances around, heels it up, points to the watch, and I was like, okay. I mean, I kind of get it. I'd rather them, we're both kind of big fans of just give us a main event and give us a winner. Not a big schmaz, but it is kind of what it is, right?
The winner was Tiffany Stratton, and I have to say we've covered before that when her first couple of matches on the main roster, she was a little bit off on her spacing because a moonsault you're not looking at your opponent. You just have to have everything in place before you go up to the top rope. She, after pounding down Bailey and Naomi on the outside into the announce tables and throwing them back into the ring, she places both of them like right next to each other, adjacent to each other, kind of parallel, and hits her, springing up each turnbuckle to hit the prettiest moonsault ever. And this was her prettiest moonsault I've ever seen her hit. It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And this was over two people, like two wrestlers.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely perfect. Like her knees came down just on the high side of where Bailey was laying, and her arms hit just on the short side of where Naomi was. Naomi was closer to the corner. This was perfect positioning. It looked fantastic. She didn't like accidentally land knee or elbow first on one of her fellow wrestlers and like really crack a rib or something on them. Yeah, this was perfect.
It's interesting. We've for the only thing that Tiffany hasn't done well is sometimes she botches the finisher, the moonsault. Yeah. Sometimes that's too short or too long.
Yep.
And I remember the first match, she really blew the moonsault. And I was like, is she ready? And then suddenly she has a couple more matches. Like, oh yeah, she's more than ready.
I think she's ready. because they have Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Asuka off doing tag team stuff. Charlotte Flair is still hurt. So if you're going to go in that direction with Jade and you want there to be formidable competition for a tag team, then that opens up a spot for another singles competitor to get in there. And I think Tiffany Stratton's ready. I'm hopeful that we get maybe what happened with LA Knight, where like obviously they weren't going to put the belt on him when they had him face Roman Reigns.
Right.
But it didn't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's still strong. The crowd still pops for him. He still wrestles well. He's still in a great program that I'm sure we'll get to shortly here. But I think I'm with you. I don't usually like to see a main event match end in a no contest. But since I didn't expect much from this match to begin with, I'll let it go. Like them going off the air with Damage Control up in the luxury boxes, laughing because both Bailey and Naomi are getting beat up.
Right.
And right next to them in the adjacent box, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill like looking stunned, like what's going on. As Tiffany Stratton of all people, less than half a year up from NXT, she's the one soaking in all of the booze and whatever as SmackDown goes off the air. So I like where they're going with her, and I hope it's the start of something long-term. I hope she delivers with this chance she's getting, and even if they don't put the belt on her, I hope that she shows enough that she's able to stay in that upper echelon, and I hope WWE Creative sees that in her and keeps her, because I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and before we move off the lead here, Dom, I liked it because we saw a little bit more of Tiffany Stratton, and we have a new video out that's got over 1,000 views about Tiffany Stratton. So if you're watching us now, I wouldn't be mad if you dropped off and go watch that video. But nonetheless, please stay with us if you'd like. And
isn't it just that how it happens though? Like we talk about Tiffany Stratton being the next superstar, and we talk about it last week on Don't Bury the Lead on our live stream. So thank you to all of you who are watching on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or at the main channel on YouTube, where we also have our archive. That's where you want to subscribe to the YouTube. But then you make that great edited video, about 2.5 minutes or so, us talking about Tiffany Stratton, how she looks ready. And sure enough, the very next SmackDown, it's Tiffany Stratton. They're watching Don't Bury the Lead.
That's exactly it. That's got to be
It's a new era, but they're still watching Don't Bury the Lead for their ideas.
Triple H has got an intern that's just directly watching us, and then he's just the intern's just feeding Triple H, and that's basically what's happening. So
the intern is subscribed to Don't Bury the Lead. You should subscribe too.
Exactly. It's got to be that. So that's the lead. Maybe we'll talk about the rest of the show here. We'll move on to the follow. Sure. So that's the main event. What else did you want to talk about with the show, Dom? What match sticks out to you?
We've started mentioning, I thought this was a great call to start the show.
Yeah.
With LA Knight versus AJ Styles. No in-ring promo, no talking segment. And I think part of that is because when you announce LA Knight as the first competitor out, the crowd's amped up.
Yeah.
The crowd is amped up. It's like, the rock band that doesn't need a warm-up act.
Right.
If LA Knight's music is going to hit like at 8:02 on the East Coast here, SmackDown starts for us at 8 o'clock. If you're going to just go right to a wrestling match, then LA Knight's the guy you want to bring out because, the crowd's going to pop. They're going to be into it. And sure enough, bell time here was 8:04. This is as soon as I think I can remember a SmackDown match starting. Like they're 3-4 minutes into the show, and they've got both wrestlers in the ring and the bell. It's LA Knight versus AJ Styles. This match goes 11 minutes. AJ Styles wins. He becomes the #1 contender for Cody Rhodes' Universal Championship. They're going to have that match. They've announced that Backlash. Cody Rhodes is already over in Europe with some other WWE wrestlers. They're doing a mini European tour. Since the Backlash is going to be in France. So, Cody's getting a head start over there, but this was a redo of a match we saw 2 weeks ago at WrestleMania. First of all, what did you think of this match? And secondly, what did you think of the outcome and having AJ Styles go to Cody Rhodes? And this is a 3-part question, John. So everybody pay attention in the chat. Pay attention in the comments because you can answer these questions too. What do you think of the match? What do you think of the outcome with AJ Styles going to face Cody Rhodes? And what do you think of this extended feud here between AJ Styles and LA Knight? They just wrestled 2 weeks ago at WrestleMania. They're doing it again for free to open SmackDown.
Yeah. Fairly obvious what was going to happen. I should say, like, felt like, LA Knight is not, or excuse me, LA Knight wouldn't face Cody Rhodes, have two baby faces, and I think LA Knight, in my opinion, probably is ready for a title shot or a title run because he's the most over baby face in the company. Although that might be really fun too. But with AJ Styles winning, he's the heel. He wins dirty. They always do stuff like that. Just an eye poke though, so not that dirty, right?
Yeah, the ref didn't see it. He gave him a thumb to the eye, and then that set up the phenomenal forearm for the pinfall. Great wrestling here. So I'm with you. I like this match overall. I do like the outcome. In fact, I think we talked about it last week where I said, these two guys having a feud, it's the kind of thing where they can trade wins with each other. So LA Knight can lose to AJ Styles, and it's not going to, kill LA Knight's push.
Yeah.
And so we kind of thought going in, AJ Styles might be the better choice here just to be a heel for Cody Rhodes for Backlash. And it's not like a surprise that AJ Styles is in the title picture. He's a Grand Slam champion, I believe they've announced. And as Cody Rhodes alluded to last week or the week before, he and Cody Rhodes are the only two men who've ever been NWA World Heavyweight Champion and WWE Heavyweight Champion. So right away, there's something for you to look at. How about this match overall? What did you think of the wrestling here? We got 11 minutes, which is a fairly good amount of time to give a wrestling match on free TV on a SmackDown. What did you think of the action we saw here?
AJ Styles and LA Knight both can definitely go, especially AJ Styles. So I liked it a lot as the opener. I don't have any spots specifically. I don't know if you have any spots you want to point out.
I just like that these guys are maybe two of the best matched wrestlers to face each other in the company. And I don't mean like they're mirror images of each other like Jimmy and Jey Uso, who had an underwhelming WrestleMania match because like they're just doing the same stuff to each other. I just mean that these two guys, and maybe it's because it took them a while to get to WWE in their careers.
Yeah.
These guys wrestled on the indies. They wrestled on like maybe the minor leagues of big time pro wrestling. LA Knight was in the NWA. Then he was in Impact Wrestling. Then he was back to the NWA. AJ Styles was in TNA Impact for a long time, early back to when they were affiliated with the NWA. Then when they broke off as their own company and then came to WWE. These two guys wrestle like guys who really earn their stripes and learn their craft for years in venues of different sizes, how to play to the crowd, how to put on a match when you don't have the budget to just break all sorts of tables and weapons and panes of glass and whatever else. Like it's two guys who have to just get into a wrestling ring and entertain people with what they're doing in the ring.
Right.
I wonder if these guys would be worse if they had been like, WWE developmental their whole careers.
And they had like really fun theme songs, and they take like 20 minutes to come out, and then they do a couple moves and go home.
Right, and it's just spot. I do my thing, you do your thing. Hit me with the table, whatever. Hit me with a chair. It's like these guys wrestle. I feel like I'm watching something from decades ago, and it's two very, very modern wrestlers. Like AJ Styles. He does springboards all over the place. He's clearly one of these high flyers, a modern wrestler. For a guy of his size to be wrestling like a luchador. And LA Knight, he's clearly a modern wrestler as well. He does that tilt-the-world power slam. And he did it on AJ Styles here, but he's done it on guys bigger than him. He did it on Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
That guy runs into him off the ropes, and he not only has to get the guy up, but then like spin him completely 180 for the power slam. Or he then at his size does that leap up to the top rope for the superplex, which he did here for a 2 count. So these guys are modern wrestlers. They're not just rest holds and headlock takeover and everything. These are fully modern wrestlers, but they understand ring psychology, and they can have a long match without any foreign objects, without any interference, without their managers getting involved, without a ref bump, without any of the chicanery. Just have a match, and you watch it, and like it's so out of place in modern pro wrestling. But these guys are fantastic. I think they really struck gold with these two. These are the two most compatible wrestlers they have on their roster. And the fact that AJ Styles has been able to turn heel and allow LA Knight to be, all of his babyface glory here, I think it's great. I love the match at WrestleMania. I'm thrilled that they are continuing this program with the two of them. And I'm very glad that they're going to have them trade wins. Like, there's no clear upper hand. So this thing has some legs to it. It's the kind of thing where if one of them wins the title down the line, the other one can say like, hey, we still have a score to settle, you and I.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, that we're both looking forward to this continuing, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about it last week where it's like, hey, let's have AJ Styles even the score with LA Knight. So we'll have one more match. Maybe there could be a fun stipulation, even though they can just wrestle a regular match, as you mentioned. And, let's keep the ball rolling here. It's pretty obvious AJ Styles isn't going to knock off Cody Rhodes for the title, and Cody will just win.
But he's going to make it a good match.
Yeah, he's so damn reliable in the ring. Yep. It's better than Cody has to wrestle someone and carry them. With AJ Styles, it's going to be a good match.
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad to see it. I'll be interested in watching Backlash from was it Lyon, France?
Yeah,
in a couple of Saturdays here. So we may have to talk about that in the Italian Goodbye. But
that's true. We got to talk about that, the Italian Goodbye, and
yeah. So
the Italian Goodbye is
it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we could save that one for the Italian Goodbye. How we're going to be watching the show from France, because it'll be noon in southern New Jersey, where we're located at. So be an afternoon. It'd be like a college football game. So that's the AJ Styles LA Knight match. Anything else from that, Dom?
No, we'll save it for maybe Cheap Heat, because there is more to talk about with AJ Styles. He's been in the news for other things. But we'll get on with the rest of the show here. What else did you like? I think this opening match was match of the night contender. There's a good argument for it. For my style of wrestling, I think so. But we had two other matches that we haven't talked about, plus some other non-match angles going on. What do you think is the next biggest story here that we have to talk about?
Well, the bloodline stuff's really picking up. Maybe we can go there.
Sure.
So, bloodline angle continues to pick up here. We're not sure where Paul Heyman feels about Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa seems like he's starting to kind of try to position himself as the new tribal chief with Tama Tonga. And Tama Tonga attacks Kevin Owens. And it looks like there's a blade job. May or may not have been.
Looked like a blade job. They set it up a little later. They after coming back from commercial, they said it was a car crash.
Oh.
Tama Tonga crashed into Kevin Owens on the driver's side in the parking lot. So that's how Kevin Owens got all that color on the side of his head, apparently. And yeah, so as Solo Sikoa is wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And a very nervous Paul Heyman is with him in the ring. We're getting "We Want Roman" chants.
Yeah.
As Solo Sikoa grabs the mic away from Paul Heyman and he starts talking, he's getting booed almost to Dominic Mysterio levels, which has to make WWE creative very pleased.
Oh, this is perfect.
Right? You're like, oh my goodness, he's got heat. This is what we want. This is what we want. And now Solo's, getting a little more mic time. I didn't see, he had to lose it. He said he had to lose my brother to find his MFT. I don't know what MFT stands for. Maybe that'll be the next reveal, but Tama Tonga is his MFT. Most trusted, whatever. I don't know, but there's an F in the middle. I don't know. You're going to have to fill me in. Tell me in the chat, what does MFT stand for? If you're watching this on the recording, tell me in the comments. What is MFT? What is his MFT? But anyway, Tama Tonga emerges from the entranceway where they bloodied Kevin Owens, is just beating him up heading down the ramp. Tama Tonga eventually gets in the ring, and as they're trying to get Kevin Owens some medical attention, Kevin Owens very slowly slithers away from these people, and they just kind of let him walk to the ring. And there goes Kevin Owens to the ring to, get a few right hands in and kicks in, but then get beat up again, and then finally get taken out. So they're setting up that, for some reason, Kevin Owens is in Solo Sikoa's crosshairs.
Right.
And, he's just going after him. Tama Tonga. I mean, this is the, when Paul Heyman was saying, the bloodline story is in the third inning. Like, there's so much more to go with it. This looks like maybe this has some legs.
Yeah. And I think this is interesting too, because before, when Roman wasn't in the bloodline, it got like pretty stale, or almost like when they were just cronies. But to see him kind of move up in position here, and you're like, okay, Jimmy's out, Solo's in, new badass guy is like his right hand man. So
Tama Tonga.
Yeah. So he's breathed some. There's some life in this bloodline storyline, but there's
how about Paul Heyman? He's carrying this as he usually does, just with his mannerisms, his body language, his facial expressions.
Yeah. Man, really a strong case for the greatest pro wrestling manager ever,
right?
Paul Heyman,
right?
Because he's continuing all this stuff into, he doesn't have to keep doing this, but he is, and he continuing this massive storyline that's been kind of carrying the WWE for years,
And his nervousness really underscores that they're trying to build to the tension between Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns eventually. Like, if Paul Heyman was just like, yes, Solo, let's do it. But instead he's like, Solo, there are protocols for how these decisions are made. And Roman Reigns has to make these decisions. Like, Paul Heyman is driving home the point that there's supposed to be tension in the bloodline.
Yeah, right. So when Roman
Solo doesn't have to carry it,
and it's pretty good because Roman obviously needs some time off.
We'll get to that in Cheap Heat.
Oh yeah. So Roman obviously needs time off, so it's cool that Solo can step up. But we've known he's been good as a wrestler, but not as this bloodline performative actor, because it is kind of like it's very much so like a theatrical performance. Let's just say.
I thought he looked great. Like, he shows up in the suit, he grabs the mic, and then he goes to the ropes on the hard camera and leans over. Like, he's like really trying to like level with people. And then as people are booing, like, he's looking around, he's soaking it in, he's letting people boo, he's letting the crowd get amped up and into it. So yeah, he's Solo Sikoa, unless somebody told him down to the second, here's what to expect and here's what you do. He showed a little bit of his ability to improv and go along with the crowd and not just be a guy who memorized his lines.
Oh yeah,
that's what you want to see from a guy you're trying to push into top storylines and top angles and top feuds. Is, can this guy be, because you expect your crowd's going to be crazy for your top angles, your top feuds, and are the people involved in those top feuds able to recognize, one, when the crowd is really into it, and then use it?
Yeah.
As part of the performance. And I think Solo did that. I think WWE has to be pleased with how Tiffany Straton handled things at the end. And I think they have to be pleased with how Solo Sikoa handled things right in the middle of the show.
Yeah, she's with Solo, with WWE in general, sometimes they do it. They've been really rough with improving. Sometimes,
Yes.
they go out, they memorize their 6 or 7 lines before the show. They're nervous. They go out and they just know how to say the 6 or 7 lines.
Maybe
And
this is the new era.
finally,
It's
it
the
ain't
Paul
rocket
Levesque era,
science,
right? It's the
Yeah.
Paul Levesque era.
Mhm.
And on that note, the Paul Levesque era was announced as they presented new belts to Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, who are just obnoxious. Totally obnoxious in the ring, including they have to get told off by Nick Aldis at one point. Triple H is kind of taking it well, since he's now an executive, he's not a wrestler anymore, and he's kind of trying to be a baby face. He's not trying to be the Mr. McMahon character. He's not Mr. Levesque.
Yeah.
So he's trying to stay out of that. Nick Aldis gets in their face a little bit, and then they join commentary for a fatal 4-way #1 contender match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. And I thought this was going to be lousy, but it turned out to be pretty cool. They let these guys go almost just about a full 18 minutes here. It starts at 8:42 and it ends right around 9:00 here on the East Coast. 18 minutes. They get 2 commercial breaks. This match goes so long. I mean, they let these guys wrestle. This was something else. Eventually, it's let's see here. It's the Street Profits who win it. Angel from Legado del Fantasma. It's a moonsault on Tyler Bate, but Montez Ford breaks it up with a big old top turn splash. Then he and Angelo Dawkins hit that revelation double team on Angel, who's still one of the legal men. And that's the pinfall at 9 p.m. And everybody got their stuff in. It's one of those matches where you like saying it's an old JR insight that, you get a match with this many guys and everybody just got to get their stuff in for their own highlight reel.
Yeah.
Everybody got their stuff in. Legado del Fantasma, Authors of Pain from the Final Testament, New Catch Republic, and the eventual champ winners, the Street Profits, who now face Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. What did you think of this match? Are you surprised they gave them 18 minutes? Did they make good use of it, or did they not make good use of it?
I think it's interesting the Street Profits won.
Okay.
Only because if the Street Profits won, are they going to knock off Grayson Waller and Austin Theory? Like
this soon?
Yeah. Like it feels like they have built the Street Profits a lot more than they've built Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. So maybe they gave them the belt and they'll lose it right away. I wouldn't be horribly surprised. Like, I don't know. It just seems like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory lost a bunch, or maybe they're just going to be like the chicken shit champions and just be running around, getting counted out and losing and stuff like that, but not losing the belts.
It also drives home the point that they were not able to turn Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins heel.
Yeah. No.
Or Bobby Lashley.
No.
Like they were trying to go heel with them. Get rid of the old, showing up with the red Solo cups, like they're frat boys and whatever. They've been able to strike a happy medium there where they've gotten rid of the sophomorish shtick there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the crowd still cheers them. They're baby faces. So is Bobby Lashley. So it drives home the point that, okay, WWE creative adjusted here.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are baby faces. They're going to face the heel champions. It was pretty clear if you watch this show that Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are still these obnoxious heels who have a chip on their shoulder. And Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins are baby faces who've grown up and learned how to be more mature baby faces. Sort of like Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn went from being a comedy wrestler that people cheered for because they wanted to see the comedy to being a guy who's a much more well-developed, kind of tough guy character, still a babyface that people are even more interested in. And I think the Street Profits have gotten to not the level of Sami Zayn, but They've been able to shed their former gimmick and level up as far
Right.
as gimmicks go and still have the crowd on their side. So good for them,
No, for sure.
even if they were supposed to be heels and kind of failed at it.
Well, to be honest with you, they had Bobby Lashley on their side, and everyone loves Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
Like, he's beloved. So I'm glad they at least pivoted when they see the crowd going a certain way. They go with it rather than force it
Mhm.
down your throat. Oh, they must be heels. So they have to do all this stuff. Like, it's part of the plan. So it's cool that they're kind of leaning into no, they're just older and more mature and wise and well dressed rather than frat boys. So,
Yep.
uh,
I don't want to gloss over the match because it went
yeah.
18 minutes. It's the longest SmackDown match I think we've seen in a long time.
Any spots you want to call out?
I don't have a ton of spots because every time they would do a spot, it would look like, okay, everybody got their stuff in. So it was an entertaining match, but I don't have a ton of spots. I mean, there were sort of triple dives to the floor at one point. The Newcastle Republic each did flippy spots off of the turnbuckles onto a couple of guys each on the floor, as Montez Ford did some sort of dive like simultaneously to take out, another guy. Authors of Pain cleared the ring early to go to the first commercial. Street Profits looked good, hitting a top turn blockbuster for a 2 count, broken up by Pete Dunne. So the guys who typically have double team moves that they use were getting able to do it. A lot of action, but I mean, none of the spots mattered any more than any of the other spots until the finish. So it was a tough match to write down and say, "Oh, this clearly matters." Like I didn't get the feeling that I was watching some sort of progression in the match, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was 8 athletic guys. It was fun.
So yes, the Spot Fest worked for you.
It worked enough. There were 2 commercial breaks. You'd get 3 minutes of a lot of action, commercial break. You'd get 4 minutes of a lot of action, commercial break. You'd come back and they do, the last 3 minutes or whatever. It was a good finish. The right team won. It sets up a good title match.
Hey, do you think we're going to see a little bit more tag stuff now that they've split the titles up and we have 2 titles on Raw, 2 titles on SmackDown?
Yes. That was a big deal coming out of WrestleMania. It was a great stipulation at WrestleMania. And really the only way to split up the belts is to have it in some sort of gimmick match where the belts are on the line separately. And The Miz and R-Truth won the belts that are being defended mostly on Raw.
Right.
Grayson Waller and Austin Theory have the belts that look like they're going to be mostly defended on SmackDown. And I hope that means that we see more of the belts. Back when the Usos had the unified belts, they were working hard. They were on SmackDown a lot, but they also went to Raw and defended the belts a lot. Like Jay and Jimmy worked hard a lot. So maybe this means we get more tag title matches on SmackDown.
Yeah, for those of you in the chat, do you guys think that Grayson Waller and Austin Theory should have like a long run, or are they going to drop the titles right away here, the Street Profits? Let us know what you think.
Transitional champions.
Yes. Are they transitional champions, or do they feel like they're going to have it for a while? And maybe we can go to the last match here, Dom. I don't have my notes on me, so maybe you can highlight
Carlito and Santos Escobar. I think it went about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
They started pretty quickly. Santos Escobar wins with the Phantom Driver. Now they began this match with a little backstage clip of Legado del Fantasma entering the building that night, the arena, and being interviewed, and them reiterating that we didn't attack Dragon Lee so that he couldn't wrestle at WrestleMania. That wasn't us. To see who believes it. I still think it's Carlito who's knocking off other members of the LWO because he's jealous that Ray likes them more.
Right.
And so maybe this, was just supposed to further that. I don't have a lot of spots for this. At some point, the women got involved again, Zelina Vega and Elektra Lopez. But the rest of LWO and LDF did not get involved, so it wasn't a total schmaz. It winds up being a decent match. both Carlito and Santos Escobar are wrestling with their T-shirts on, like they're each 60 years old.
Like a Sting style or something.
Not quite Sting style, where it's lunch pail Sting with he's wearing like the work pants all the way down to the work boots and the long sleeve shirt. Like they're each wearing a T-shirt, almost like the kind of thing you could buy at WWE shop, merchandise or whatever. But I mean, these guys are still in the prime of their careers. They still wear the short trunks, so they're not. It's not like they're embarrassed about their physique. They've each got the legs going on, so and they've got the arms going on. But I mean, the pecs, the part of wrestling is to look like your superhero characters.
Yeah.
It's why they have those physiques and they're chiseled and
maybe they're really close to the T-shirt bonus, and they're like, just keep the shirt on for the match, and hopefully we can sell like 15 more, and we get like an extra $3,000 in our.
I love it. It's a contract stipulation. If you sell this many T-shirts, this next bonus kicks in. I love it.
So they're wearing the T-shirts like, buy it, right? I'm trying to get my bonus.
Everybody's Kevin Owens all of a sudden.
Oh, Kevin Owens. Yeah, he's the king of shilling his T-shirts.
So I liked it. I thought it was a good match. But it wasn't that long. I don't know that this was kind of a holding pattern match. It didn't really advance either faction too much, although it just gives Santos Escobar a good win. Over Carlito, and now maybe Carlito has to answer for some stuff. I don't know, but there's this is a good mid-card match.
Yeah, I think Carlito probably has been brought in to lose, and like to put on good matches, be entertaining. But like he's been I think it kind of has been brought in to put people over. I should say. Shouldn't.
Yeah, he's gonna have like a 500 record, or maybe a little worse by the time it's all over. Like Natalia, who we both enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dom. Anything else you want to talk about with this show?
Interview with Damage Control. I alluded to before that they were up in a luxury box.
Yeah.
Right before the main event, they sent one of the reporters up there to interview Damage Control, and it's basically Dakota Kai doing all the talking. But I want to mention that Io Sky is leaning into the heel work with her posture and her facial expressions. Even though her English isn't well enough for her to cut long promos, like she's there. She's like leering at people and scoffing and everything. So she's leaning into it. She's doing good character work as well as she can. Part of your character is your nonverbal work, and she's leaning into that. Talking about, are we leading up to a triple threat match for the women's title with Naomi, Tiffany Straton, and Bailey, or is it going to be a fatal four-way? I can't imagine that Io Sky, especially after the strides she made with her character work while she had leading up to winning Money in the Bank, and then after having the Money in the Bank and then winning the title and having the title for a while and putting on a tremendous WrestleMania match where she lost. Like, it wasn't like she put on this great WrestleMania match where she won. Like, she put on a tremendous performance having Bailey go over. I can't imagine that Io Sky is going to be, just banished to the lower card or just forgotten about. So I'm interested to see what they do with her. And this sort of hinted that she's still in the picture there. So I'm glad to see that. They're overflowing with talent at this point, and they're trying to keep everybody relevant, which is easier said than done.
Yeah,
and I think they're doing a pretty decent job of doing it. I have nothing else to say about individual segments in this show. Did you have anything that you think we missed, or anything you wanted to emphasize that you thought we glossed over? Anybody in the live chat or in the comments, is there anything we glossed over on this show that you wanted us to talk about more? Let us know your take on things in the chat, in the comments.
Yeah, I think with Io Sky, we're both big fans of Io. She had a great performance at WrestleMania, but maybe not a horrible idea to kind of keep her out of action for a minute, because she's been like she was all over SmackDown, right,
Yep.
for a while there. So maybe keep her in the background, keep her around, but we don't need to see her wrestling every Friday night. So just give her a little bit of a break and cool her off in the right way. So that's the follow. And Dom,
Is it
I
drive time?
think it is about time to start driving.
We've
It's
covered the whole show. It's time to put a bow on it, right? It's time for Thumb Drive. You and I are going to distill this entire SmackDown into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no ties. There are also no star ratings, no letter grades, no number grades. You are taking this course pass, fail.
Dom, we're not Dave Meltzer. We don't give star ratings. No, it's just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Was the show good or was it not? Yes or no? 1 or 0, on or off.
Yes.
So, are you ready?
I am ready, sir.
3, 2, 1. Oh, 2 thumbs up.
Yep.
Dom, why'd you give this show 2 thumbs up or a thumbs up from your end?
Yeah, thumbs up. A lot of good action in the ring. I just got done saying it that they got a lot. They're overflowing with good talent on the SmackDown roster, and they managed to put together a show where they made lots of different people relevant. But in the old days, they may have done that by over relying on promos and vignettes. Here, they did it by having shorter non wrestling segments and giving us quite a bit of match action in this SmackDown. I can't be disappointed with LA Knight and AJ Styles. That was a WrestleMania quality match.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, at that point, the rest of the show just has to tread water, and I'm giving it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
But the rest of the show did more than tread water. I think it was a pretty good show.
Yeah, from my perspective, same thing. LA Knight and AJ Styles tore it up, and even the main event I liked with Naomi and Bailey. I liked some of the stuff they did, and then
Mhm.
Tiffany is kind of standing on top there. So we had a lot of wrestling in this show. I like the direction they're headed in. I've liked it since last week. It seems like a little bit more fresh. So I don't know if there's a new angle or design that I'm missing and it's hitting my brain differently, but I thought this was a good show. So
Tell us about the production. You brought up that point last week, and it was a really great point that you think the show looks different from a production standpoint. Are you still seeing that? Is it still moving in a positive direction for you?
Yeah, I don't have any specific notes this week about the production. Maybe at least that the big screen, like they used to have an obnoxiously big screen for the monitor when they were coming in, and they've kind of tapered that down a little bit. So the monitor isn't as ridiculous. And because I just don't need to see a giant screen, you know, it was too much. So I like the direction they're heading in there. But that's the thumb drive. And is it getting a little hot in here, Tom?
It is the weather's warming up here in the springtime, but you know, it's always warm for Don't Bury the Lead. It's also always a little bit cheap around here. It's time for it's cheap heat. Is it not?
That's right, Tom. It's time for Cheap Heat, where we talk about WWE, AEW, other wrestling that is happening outside of WWE and trending stories. We typically will take these trending stories, filter them down to like smaller videos. We have had a lot of success kind of creating them and putting them on YouTube. So if you're watching us right now on another platform besides YouTube, check out our YouTube channel and subscribe, or just go check it out. We're up to like 550 or so subscribers. So we're growing. And it's been a lot of fun making the shorter clips here. So without further ado, let's go to the first step here, or the first.
We talked about these guys. AJ Styles. This comes to us from TV Insider. AJ Styles on the changes that he's been noticing in SmackDown recently and WWE overall. He says there's more creativity, more freedom for people to try different things. He talks about some of the sponsorship, but also creative. They talked about pushing the boundaries a little more, and specifically his angle with LA Knights, where the fight they had at LA Knight's house, the AJ Styles' house, that looks like it was something out of the TV show Cops. And it was, he said, it worked. The fans liked it. It helped build their storyline. Having the freedom to do what is great. I wanted to go outside of the box of the ring and even the arena, do something different. He did a callback to Booker T and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the grocery store. If you don't overdo this stuff, it is kind of interesting to see. AJ Styles is also the kind of guy who can do that. He's a guy who's done wrestling for a long time. So I wonder if, especially the veterans, the guys who've been wrestling for 10 years, 20 years, in AJ Styles' case, 25 years, really are taking a big, deep breath at having a little more freedom to do things, because they're the guys who know how to do that. Like the young guys are just taking instructions.
Yeah.
Having more freedom doesn't mean as much to somebody if you're just taking instructions. So it's more freedom for the guy writing the thing for you. But for the guys who have a little more input in what they're doing, this has got to feel really good. And, LA Knight and AJ Styles, these are two guys who, they have the minds for the business where they can really contribute like this. And I think they're going to. So AJ Styles is really a good source to go to for this kind of story. What do you think about the new direction you've seen? And have you noticed it in AJ Styles' character in big ways, in subtle ways? What do you think of some of the new stuff you're seeing? This is maybe a little bit of a softball because you've already mentioned how you like the changes in production. But what about some of the changes we've seen in creative? Are they obvious? Do you like them?
Yeah, I mean, if you think of the one we even mentioned earlier in the show, the Street Profits, they were trying to make heel. It wasn't working. They were getting cheered. So they just made them faces. And they made it the change pretty quickly rather than try to ram it down the fans' throats. Mm-hmm. They just were like, oh, the fans are cheering them. They're not booing them. Let's make them faces. It's that simple. Whereas in the past, you would just see them ram concepts and ideas down their throat. That's really it's kind of surprising that it's not really that surprising AJ came out and said this, but I think it's kind of an indirect shot at Vince, right? They're just like, oh, we're having a lot more creative freedom than we've ever had. It's like, well, Vince was always the head of creative, and now he's not. So it's just a direct shot at Vince. It's crazy to see how much crap he's gotten the last 6 months to a year here.
It's like they're all posting on their socials, OMG, work is so fun now, hearts.
I know. Yeah. And they really are saying how great it is. And I think some of that's got to be true. And I mean, some of it is also you can't bash your employer too much, but you do get the opportunity to bash one aspect of it, and they're taking full advantage.
It may also be that they just, feel that a weight's been lifted off their shoulder, because it wasn't just Vince as a creative that I think people need to loosen up a little bit about. It was just the off the field stuff from the business world, from the lawsuit stuff that Vince was bringing in. And if you work for a well-known company and they're in the news for all the wrong reasons, people from your regular personal life start asking you about it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I heard that your boss is a jerk and he's got lawsuits filing over, and you think the company's going to go under? Are you going to be fired soon? Even if it's not quite like, I'm exaggerating, but you don't want to have to answer those questions. I think everybody's just kind of relieved. I mean, Vince McMahon had in his career more hits than misses creatively.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
But at the end, it got tiring, and I think everybody is breathing a collective sigh of relief at the new era, both business-wise, company-wise, but also the product and what the wrestlers, I'm saying wrestlers, not superstars, what the wrestlers are able to do now and contribute more, it seems like. I like it.
Yeah. And I think it's cool. I think there's a better vibe you could tell, and just even the announcers, you could tell they're not freaking out. They don't like if they mess up a couple words, they're not like freaking out, or it doesn't sound like Vince is screaming in their ear and they're just repeating what Vince is screaming. So,
Right.
like Michael Cole's like night and day. I can remember thinking he was terrible, and then I was like, oh, he was never really that bad. He just had like Vince making him say these things.
Yeah, right.
But
like
good,
you're just a puppet on a string or something. So yeah,
right.
good.
Um,
But now it's put up time, right? Now it's put up or shut up. Like you're glad to have the freedom. Now you've got to do it.
Right now, you can't blame it all on Vince now.
Yep.
But I think they've delivered so far with WrestleMania in the last couple weeks here.
Yeah. Now more WWE purges going on. Sue Atchison has been let go by the WWE. She was instrumental in one of the really great things that the company did under Vince, which was the Make-A-Wish. She's been an employee of the company for over 38 years, starting back in 1986. WWE's relationship with Make-A-Wish can be directly attributed to her. She was honored by the organization both 2006 and 2016 for what she's done there. She's also heavily involved in company's community outreach programs. So this looks like this was one of the people behind the scenes who was putting the WWE company's best face for people to see, their best foot forward. If I can throw a couple of body part metaphors into the analysis there. Maybe it was just time. She's been doing this for 38 years and she's tired. She wants to retire. But it's someone who's going to have big shoes to fill. We talked about when Kevin Dunn left, that someone was going to have to fill big shoes on producing the TV shows and the look of the televised products. And so far, they've found people to do that who are doing it differently, but not bad. In fact, we think there's some good promise to what it's doing. So perhaps WWE can, even without this longtime employee there, can still have good community relations, both not only with their partner here, Make-A-Wish, but any other partnerships they're doing. Partnerships are huge nowadays. I'm into partnerships in the tech space. Go to all the different go-to-market strategies, many of which now involve finding partners. So this was WWE's main employee, kind of in charge of all these partnerships. So good for her. She's had a long career. We'll just say that she's retiring because she's been working as an executive for a long time in a corporation. Let's just say that she's got a good nest egg put away and she can enjoy retirement. That this isn't kind of a seedy, nefarious, she got forced out.
38 years.
She's been there too long. She sounds like she was a really good employee doing positive things for the company.
Yeah, 38 years is amazing. So
very good stuff. Some other people who are departing: Jinder Mahal and Xia Li. Also, Zion Quinn, who was mostly doing NXT stuff. They have been released from the WWE. Jinder Mahal especially took to Twitter to say free agent 90 days. So he's looking to keep working here. He got his severance, but he's not just going to sit on his rear end there. He wants to keep working. Let's see what he can do. He still seems to have a career ahead of him. It seems like he's in pretty good shape. Xia Li, the same thing. She looks like she's in shape. We haven't seen much of her on SmackDown or on Raw, but from what we saw of her, I mean, it looks like she can work. She was lower card, but that doesn't mean you're a bad professional wrestler. It just means that they don't have much for you to do. It's better to be lower card and on TV than for them to forget about you.
Yeah, Jinder Mahal had an interesting career. He was out of the WWE, and then he was in the Indies, and then he got really jacked, and they brought him back in. And when they brought him back in, he got the opportunity to win the WWE title because they were trying to develop themselves in India.
Yes.
Now, Jinder Mahal is from Canada, but he looked Indian enough, I guess, to them that they were like, "Oh yeah, he could be our Indian star."
But in
So-
WWE world, he's Indian.
Oh yeah, of course, right. I mean, this is back in the Vince days too, so God knows what those conversations were like. But Jinder he made the most of his opportunity when he got rehired to the WWE, and he's been with them since.
Yeah.
So I mean, it always sucks when people get laid off, and I don't know why they always seem to just do this. They have like these cuts every year, but I
Well,
think
they bring new people in every year, so unless you want the roster to just keep growing and growing, even though that's the same amount of TV.
exactly, that's a great point. There's always new up and coming stars, and they kind of fill in and replace the other people. And I think it's just the nature of the business, right? You've only got like a couple of the people way up at the top, and then you have new guys coming in, and then the guys up in the middle, mid card, kind of get shoved out, or even mid to bottom card. He kind of
It's
was.
competitive. These are the major leagues.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good
Competitive.
point.
You know, you've got to. Wrestling is fake. Wrestling, it's not only athletic as a sport, but it's competitive the way any sort of sport would be, in that you're vying for fan interest. You're vying for TV time. You're vying for your spot in the company as an entertainer.
Yeah.
Even though the entertainers are wrestlers, you're vying for fan interest, for maintaining your spot on the roster. It's competitive. It's like any other business that's competitive. It's not only competitive in the sense that it's athletic, and you have to be formidable as an athlete to do it, but it's competitive as you're at the top of your industry.
Yeah, and
There's only so many people who can be in the WWE at any one time.
And if I'm not mistaken here, I think Jinder Mahal kind of got into it with Tony Khan.
Yes, he last time we saw him was a January 15th episode of Raw, where he lost a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match to Seth Rollins. This match didn't sit well with AEW president Tony Khan, who got into a Twitter spat with Mahal. This does not prevent Tony Khan from bringing in Jinder Mahal, does it? In fact, this might be fun.
Yeah.
If Jinder Mahal shows up in AEW. Like, hey, I got a problem with your boss around here.
Yeah, so that little spat might have costed him maybe or it could either cost or help him, getting signed by AEW. But there's New Japan, there's TNA, there's a couple other places he could go. And then like he's also speaking of nest eggs, he's 37, so I'm hoping he pocketed some of that WWE money, especially that champ money, and he has a nice little nest egg for himself. In addition to that, it is what it is. There's a lot of other wrestling out there now that's big enough that he can kind of make some money off of, so hopefully he continues, and it looks like he is going to.
There are other jobs available. Briefly, since you brought it up, and I think it's a great point, WWE tries not to get into spats with AEW and other wrestling promotions because WWE is seen as the market leader, and it's punching down.
Yeah.
There's no way they can look good doing that. The other companies, though, because they're not the market leader, it doesn't come off the same way if they punch up.
Yeah, for
at
sure.
the WWE. So like Tony Khan punching up at WWE here, probably, that's not a bad thing necessarily for Tony Khan, but for Jinder Mahal to be punching down, yeah, maybe WWE behind the scenes says, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Don't legitimize them. No.
Yeah.
They come to us. We don't go down to them.
To be fair, I know that's the thinking, but Triple H definitely has just said some stuff about AEW that have been insults. Like
they hint at it.
Yeah. So, but maybe they don't want him doing it, right? They're like, no, not you, Jinder. This is only when we decide it. When we want to throw mud, or if we want to become very petty. It's always stupid when they do it, but I think for a while there it was kind of interesting, but now it's getting a little much. But
it can get, yeah. Let's do some better off the field news here. Nia Jax, this comes to us from WrestleZone. By the way, this previous one came to us from E-Wrestling News. We've got 3 out of 4 here coming to us from WrestleZone. Nia Jax gets baptized, and Naomi was there in attendance. So this is we talked about I think Hulk Hogan got baptized a few months ago.
Right.
Nia Jax as well. You know, these are real people. They have lives outside of their work. And you know, yes, Nia Jax is a heel. Naomi's a baby face, but they're real people, and in real life, they're friends. They're friends from work. They're friends outside of work. I think it's a great story. Naomi was there in attendance. This is fantastic. They're sharing it on their social medias. So they're this also doesn't mean that Nia Jax is out of the wrestling picture. This is just something she was doing while they have a little time off here with her storylines. She had a Becky Lynch program. She had that match with Rhea Ripley in Perth, Australia for Elimination Chamber. So they've got more for her to do, I'm imagining. But in the meantime, she has a life outside of wrestling. Wonderful news for Nia Jax.
An unpopular opinion here.
Okay.
I think Nia Jax had a better match with Rhea Ripley than Becky Lynch. I think that Becky Lynch didn't have as good of a match with Rhea Ripley. So
I am going to agree with you.
Yeah.
Tell us in the comments, is that really an unpopular opinion? Tell us in the live chat if you're watching us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, or the mothership at YouTube. Let us know. Did Nia Jax have the best match with Rhea Ripley that we can remember in a long time?
Yeah, and let me tell you something too. Nia Jax is usually destroyed by the internet for her work, and Becky Lynch, everyone says, is a good worker. So I actually think that Nia Jax actually outdid her with the Rhea Ripley match.
Yeah.
Now,
yes. Oh, maybe we're getting into some controversy here as well.
You know, this is Cheap Heat, baby.
This is what we're here for. We can take it. Go at us.
Come at us. Tell her we're wrong. You're wrong, but you can come at us. So no, it's good to see though Nia Jax, kind of moving forward with this portion of her life. That's really cool, and maybe she's ready for a face turn. Getting baptized. Come on.
You never know. Although, you know, just because you have great stuff happening to you off out of the ring doesn't necessarily mean you're ready for a face turn. Logan Paul and Nina Agdal are expecting a first child together.
Speaking of which, right? He
is still a heel. Logan Paul is still a heel, but this is a great story.
Yeah.
He's a father, Nina Agdal, a mother here, just waiting on the birth of their first child there. He was talking about it on Instagram. Also hyping up his win at WrestleMania 40, where he won that triple threat match. So Logan Paul is of course doing the media stuff that he's always been doing, which is fantastic. He's great at being in the public eye and getting eyeballs on him and whatever else he's doing. But
for better or worse,
great for him. For better or worse.
Sometimes
but this is great news off out of the ring, out of the company for people in their personal lives again. So congratulations to Logan Paul.
And sometimes it's for making little kids sign up for cryptocurrencies and stealing their money. But
fake tokens and things, yes.
Yeah. So maybe he's known for that. Sometimes that's not good. But sometimes he's known for things like this, which is good.
Which is fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about some injury news and people who are out of the ring, who are trying to get back into the ring. Big E, 2-year neck scans are in. Things are unchanged. His vertebrae is healed, but has not formed new bone. I'm not medically cleared. Truthfully, I may never be cleared. This was a guy who was a big baby face for a while, right? Were you watching when Big E had his world championship run and was part of the New Day when they were a trio?
Yeah. I was watching then, or you know what? I might have missed that section, but I always liked Big E, and I liked the direction they were heading in with having him be the champ. And a shame he got injured, and I always liked the New Day.
Okay. And we were talking about how outside of wrestling, some of these guys all know each other. The big reply here is from Renee Paquette. She's AEW.
She's AEW's I would call her kind of like
The reporter,
yeah, she does like the reporter stuff. She does
interviews during the shows and things like that.
she's Mean Gene.
She's Mean Gene.
Yeah.
There we go.
She does
Jean
mean
Renee Paquette.
but-
Also, real life married to John Moxley, correct?
yes,
Or
real
am I-
life married to John Moxley, that crazy guy.
Okay, so and great that she's able to, they're friends outside of work. They work for
Yeah.
rival companies, but this is good to see.
And yeah, she still can love him and hope he is healthy with his neck injury. Like we're not
Sure.
monsters here.
Yeah,
So I think it is sort of a shame, right? Because 2-year neck scans are in, things are unchanged. My C1 has healed but has not formed new bone. I'm not medically cleared, and truthfully, I may never be cleared.
hmm
But I guess it's good that he's free of pain, which is
Yep.
good. Yeah.
So he's healthy enough to have a normal life, but he's not healthy enough to be power bombed by, Bobby Lashley. Or
And is he still on the roster too, right?
he might be. I wonder if he's in the new video games as well.
I saw him at the Philadelphia convention.
Okay.
He was doing a show there because during when WrestleMania was there, he was like hosting a show. So maybe they might kind of shift him a little bit more toward the media end of it.
Okay.
So
He was a baby face. He seemed to have a personality to him, so maybe he can just be an ambassador.
he's
like
cool.
A lot of these guys are.
Yeah. He's always cool. So
Very good. More injury news. Seth Rollins finally had surgery on his knee.
ooh.
He'll be out for a while. Becky Lynch dropped this news when she was on an interview. I did see a clip of her that was posted on X, Twitter there. Mike Johnson's also been covering it from PW Insider. This comes to us from Bleacher Report.
Hey, in the chat, do you guys think this is a big loss for Seth Rollins here, or do you think we have enough talent in WWE that they'll be all right without Seth Rollins?
Yeah, and we don't know how long either. Apparently, he's been trying to work through it. He was injured in January, took off nearly 2 months where he was just doing promos, but did have a few matches for about 4 weeks, culminating with WrestleMania, where he wrestled twice. 3 times he wrestled. He wrestled 2 matches in a row. He was the last match of night 1. Then he was the first match of night 2. Then put on different clothes and dyed his hair and came out for the main event of night 2, where he, did some moves and took a chair shot.
Right. Right.
Seth Rollins, I don't get to see Seth Rollins a lot. You and I basically just watch SmackDown. I don't watch Seth Rollins, but when I do, and especially what he did at WrestleMania, he might be their best all-around wrestler. Like, character, yes, he's over the top, but newsflash, it's pro wrestling. It's supposed to be over the top.
Newsflash.
And when he gets in the ring, he's versatile. He's fantastic. It's difficult to find even a mediocre Seth Rollins match. So yeah, I think this is a loss. I don't think people are going to forget him. I think if he heals, it'll be a great return. And I think the roster has enough people in it that you're going to miss him because he's Seth Rollins, but everybody else should be able to step up.
So basically, he had a grade 2 MCL tear and wrestled through it.
Yeah, he wrestled 7 times between March 9th and April 7th.
Wow. Okay. So he definitely gets a tough guy award for that. That's got to be brutal, right?
Yeah. He's a throwback. This is old-time wrestlers who worked like 250 nights out of the year. And if you got some sort of sprain or strain anywhere, or even like these partial tears, which are just, some of them are just really bad sprains. You had to tape it up, put on a brace, and learn how to work to where you could kind of hide it in the ring and not aggravate it to the point where you couldn't work because you were an independent contractor. If you didn't work, you didn't get paid. And now these days, these guys have guaranteed contracts, and WWE is going to pay for his surgery and his recovery and everything, which is great. WWE is the kind of company that brings in so much revenue that they can, they can compete on the job market by offering their talent these kind of guaranteed contracts. good for everybody involved. It's great news for everybody. But that being said, Seth Rollins, the way he performs out there as a wrestler, yeah, he's a throwback.
Mhm.
Oh, this hurts. I got to find a way to wrestle through it.
Right.
And he does it. I'm so impressed with Seth Rollins.
Well, I think that's really cool, and I didn't realize he did it so hurt. So it's got my respect, man. Just wrestling
Yeah.
hurt like that, that's a cool thing. And yeah,
Let's
big
go to
ups.
someone who can't wrestle hurt because he tore his pec. It's Matt Cardona, the
Mhm.
former, what was he, Zack Ryder? It was very close to 4 years ago when he was talking about how he enjoyed his time in WWE, but Zack Ryder needed to die for Matt Cardona to live. He's been the king of the indies since then.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Real life married to Chelsea Green. And they've talked about how, you know, she has talked about in interviews how Matt has really enjoyed his run on the indies and what he's been able to do. He's sort of been at some point kind of king of the death matches.
Yeah.
But also the guy can wrestle. He's been both the GCW and NWA World's Heavyweight Champion in
Wow.
the time that he's been away from WWE these 4 years.
Yeah.
So him being out of action, it's kind of a big loss. He's popular. Like whatever indie promotion brings him in, like they can put him all over their advertisements and he'll sell tickets.
Yeah, no, he is popular. I think he was also PBR's. He had a sponsorship with PBR. Like he was their wrestler that they would have, like do all these like, whatever they did, like little commercials for like Instagram or something like that. He'd be like the PBR guy,
Okay.
So yeah, he's had a great career outside of WWE with GCW, NWA, fun loving guy, and like he says in this tweet here, Zack Ryder needed to die for Matt Cardona to live.
Yeah.
I actually saw Matt Cardona on AEW like a few
Okay.
weeks ago.
Oh,
So
wow.
he premiered in AEW on their show Collision, and when he
Okay.
premiered, he got a big pop. So it looks like he actually got injured though. So
He maybe said, I tore my pec in a match on Saturday. That sounds like him. That's when Collision happens. Or maybe it was a house show.
yeah,
This was from April 17th earlier this week. So maybe he's talking about Saturday, April 13th.
yeah.
So yeah, unfortunate. But we saw Cody Rhodes come back from that injury. So maybe Matt Cardona can take 6 months off, get his injury taken care of, rehab, and come back and be, Cody Rhodes has come back and been able to perform.
And look at him. He's still a hardworking guy. He's like, look, I can't wrestle, but I'm still available for autograph signings and appearances.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, so much of pro wrestling is the star power. And WWE knows this as much as anybody. The fan experiences that they do surrounding all of their big premium live events, and even the WWE fan shops, the things they set up at all of their house shows and at any of their tapings or live events for Raw or SmackDown. Yeah, I mean, Matt Cardona, he's got a big name if he can show up to some of these wrestle conventions, wrestle cons here or there. Hey, book Matt Cardona at Gmail. This comes to us from his own ex Twitter account there. So that's fantastic news. Let's see here. Other people who may be transitioning from one promotion to another. Jack Perry, Jungle Boy. He was in Chicago recently, and I'm going to play this without sound.
You can play it with sound.
I may not be able to. Let's see. It's from a shorts on. Okay, there seems to be no sound.
Okay.
This is Jack Perry getting cheered in CM Punk's hometown.
Yeah.
So Jungle Boy Jack Perry, he can punch up here, right? And say, look, I'm getting cheered in Chicago as he's wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling here. He may be going to AEW soon, like returning to AEW, right?
Yeah.
Would you want to see him back in AEW? Do you think it's time? Do you think he had enough time away? Do you want to see him back?
So if AEW had just played this correctly, and instead of doing all that stupid video about like the video in the back. Like if they just shut up about it. CM
Mhm.
Punk did this thing, they shut up about it, then they bring him back in, it would have been perfect. But so that's why I don't want him to go back there right away. They kind of ruined his entrance. But I do
Okay.
want to point out here of the pillars, Jack Perry has really, really impressed me. I see him. He was great. I loved him as a baby face, as like a little boy, because he was little and he was like
Yeah.
with a really huge dinosaur, and he was like the Jungle Boy, and I like that gimmick so much because I was like, man, I never saw a dinosaur and a Jungle Boy, but that's a good idea. So
Yeah.
so then eventually they both turned heel, and um
The
so
dinosaur turned heel?
yeah, the dinosaur turned heel. And
My goodness.
yeah, so the dinosaur, Luchasaurus, um, Christian Cage convinced him to turn heel. So eventually what happens is Jungle Boy and I'm getting too deep into it, but eventually what happens is Jungle Boy um no longer is Jungle Boy. He's Jack Perry now, and
Okay.
he's heel too. So he like Christian has made him go crazy and drove him nuts. So now he's heel. So
Okay. So Jack Perry is heel, and you've been impressed with what he's. Have you seen much of him since he had to leave AEW for a while?
no, but I am impressed with the fact that he has a personality now. Because before
Okay.
he was just like, oh, I'm a good guy. I have a big frowy hair, and now he comes out and shoots promos that are nasty. Uh, and his jacket says "Cry Me a River" because he
Yeah.
told CM Punk to cry me a river about the real glass. And he's got the Chicago flag, so he's got some swag to him. I think he's the one in this whole scenario that's made out the best.
Okay.
Obviously, it wasn't Punk. Obviously, it wasn't the company because they've made fools of themselves with that dumb video.
Hmm.
And but Jack Perry's made. I think Jack Perry being in Japan, um, and if he can go to Japan and learn how to wrestle because they know how to wrestle there and they know how to wrestle that strong style, and when he comes back to the U.S., if he instead of doing the flippy stuff, he's wrestling strong style, then guess what? You got yourself a wrestler.
All right. So there's a lot of potential here.
Hmm.
With Jack Perry maybe returning to AEW. We'll see where that goes. I don't watch AEW. I see some of the clips, but you're the AEW fan. If you're looking forward to Jack Perry maybe being back in AEW, that's a good sign.
I am.
Let's go to somebody else who may be going to AEW. I remember these guys from way back, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, the Motor City Machine Guns. Fantastic tag team. Also pretty good as singles wrestlers, but together as the Motor City Machine Guns. Fantastic. They may be headed to AEW, it seems here. Wrestle Purists over on X are saying this. We're in late stage negotiations with AEW, and creative. We're trying to come up with some ideas. So if they do sign, they're ready for this. This is just this past week. What do you know about Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley? They've done most of their careers in Impact Wrestling. That's where I saw them years and years ago. Apparently, they can still go. They're probably into their 40s by now, but they look great. They could still wrestle.
Yeah, tell
Do
me
you know
about it,
much
Dom.
about them, and do you want to see them in AEW if they wind up going there?
No, give us a breakdown. I don't really know who they are.
They're in that they were sort of those X division wrestlers, which is the guys who did more of the high flying stuff and
Yeah.
some of the more risk taking moves and dangerous stuff.
Uh-huh.
So they're in that mold. They're probably around the size of, say, a Seth Rollins in that 220-pound range.
Okay.
They move a lot like AJ Styles. I don't know that they're as big in the chest as AJ Styles is, where AJ Styles looks like he can do some power moves.
Uh-huh.
They're fantastic. Their chemistry together as a tag team is excellent. They're also pretty good as singles wrestlers, but again, they're on the smallest side. It takes a lot for a guy at that size to be a great singles wrestler and be believable if you're surrounded by giants. But if they go to AEW where they're about MJF's size,
Yeah.
and MJF was a fantastic world champion for them.
Uh-huh.
They're bigger than Adam Cole.
Yeah.
They may be close to Christian Cage, who's a singles champion there.
Yeah.
So if you need a tag team division, if you need more for the tag team division, these are guys I think who could have a barn burner with either the Young Bucks or FTR or anybody else.
Dom, I do have one comment. You
Sure.
said they're bigger than Adam Cole, and that could be any wrestler in wrestling today.
Right?
Because as Jim Cornette calls him, the incredible shrinking man.
Yeah, just trying to throw out a name there of somebody who was in the title picture in the upper echelon.
Yeah.
So they would be out of place in, say, like late 80s WWF, or you had to be like enormous and jacked up on steroids to, whiff the main event.
Yeah.
With Hogan and anybody. But in the more athletic, more fast-paced, more physically demanding from an endurance standpoint, wrestling, they can compete in that. I like them. I'm surprised that they're still doing it at this age, because I saw them maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago doing this on TNA was probably their heyday, battling with the likes of Beer Money, James Storm and Robert Roode, who each have tried to get a cup of coffee with WWE in recent years. So if you remember them, then you know who they've done battle with. I'm interested to see if they're still doing that high flying, very fast paced style, 15, 20 years later. We'll see if they do actually sign with AEW. I think they can make a splash. AEW also seems to have a crowd that a fan base that's more in tune with the other promotions like TNA Impact, like New Japan, like NWA, like GCW, like any of these other promotions. And, I think that the AEW crowd might know who they are more than a WWE crowd.
Right.
So there might be a big splash when these guys show up. And everybody's saying, those are the Motor City Machine Guns, and like enough people in the crowd knowing who they are.
Mm-hmm. They'll probably know who they are. I'd say
this could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
One more to do. We mentioned Roman Reigns not on SmackDown. Roman Reigns is filming a movie called Good Fortune. It's a heist comedy. So maybe this is why he's got to be off TV for a while, and they need Solo Sikoa to step up and start wearing suits and calling Tama Tonga his MFT and making, poor Paul Heyman almost wet himself there in the middle of the ring. But this is apparently a still from one of the shots there. He may be playing a bad guy. We don't know. Good Fortune. It's not out yet, but it's stars Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen, Keke Palmer, and many more. They do have an IMDb page again. I mean, already, even though the movie's not out, Good Fortune. And sure enough, if you go there, you see some photos with Roman Reigns in there. If you scroll through top cast, he's going by his real name, Joe Anoa'i. There he is. Aziz Ansari, who I remember from Parks and Rec. But there he is. He is really filming a movie. Hollywood came calling for Roman Reigns, Joe Anoa'i. He is out filming the movie Good Fortune with Seth Rogen and Keanu Reeves.
That's wild. Because it was funny because he said, "I'm going to send you back to Hollywood like everyone else." When he was beating up Cody Rhodes. And now here he is.
Now here he is going to Hollywood to film a movie. Good news for him. I have no idea how long he'll be out, but with him and The Rock both out, this creates some breathing room in the bloodline.
Yeah.
Because if Roman is there and or The Rock is there, they take all the air out of the room. But with Roman filming a movie, The Rock filming perhaps 2 movies back to back that he's got lined up, there is room for someone to step up. If it's going to be Solo Sikoa and Tamatanga and maybe Jacob Fatu, who maybe the indie wrestling fans know about from other promotions. If this means that they have room for other people to step up, step up.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. The Rock, he's filming 2 movies in a row. Can this guy take a break? Now with Joe Anoa'i here, with Roman Reigns here, I think, okay, you probably don't. This is if this was a really good opportunity and this movie looks like it's going to be good, maybe you have to go and do it. Where
Mhm.
The Rock, yeah, dude, you can do whatever movie you want. You've made hundreds and millions of dollars on movies. Like, can you
Yep.
just take a break, please?
He's got 30 million in stock options vesting because they just put him on the board at TKO.
Even his drink, like he's always shilling his drink,
Yeah.
his energy drink, and it's like, Rock, when's enough? How much money do you need that you're shilling this drink and you're shilling all this stuff? Is shilling
Honestly,
his tequila.
it's probably people coming to him
Oh
and saying,
yeah.
like, Rock, we want you to be involved in our project, and here's what we'll pay you. Jim Cornette, let's drop a name there, used to tell this story about Sting. That,
Mm.
Sting was on rolling 1-year contracts with TNA Impact. And every year, like, Sting was ready to retire. And Dixie Carter would come back to him with even more money and say, can you stay another year? And Steve Borden would say, okay. So it's people coming to them
Yeah,
and
right.
saying, we want you involved in our project. I would be surprised if it's not a work, if it's really a shoot, that somebody came calling for Roman Reigns.
Yeah. And
Somebody got Joe Anoa'i's agent on the phone and said, we love what he's doing in the WWE. We have a role we think is cool. It's a heist comedy. Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen. We want your guy in here.
yeah. I mean, it does look good, like with the cast. Specifically, I know The Rock did like some bad movies. Like he did like The Tooth Fairy and stuff like that. And they were just complete clunker. So if he makes a movie and it's good, then maybe he's set up, right?
Good for him, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, there he is. Joe Anoa'i's there on. He's got his IMDb DB page already. In fact, if we go to it, most of it is WWE stuff, probably. But yeah, he's known for. Apparently, he played in one of the Fast and Furious presents. Hobbs and Shaw was this. He's had some bit parts in other things, but most of his stuff is WWE. Video games, WrestleManias, TV series, this kind of stuff. So good to see him really branching out here. Joe Anoa'i, we wish you all the best. That's what I got. It's cheap. It's heat. It's cheap heat. Did I miss anything here?
No, I think we're good here. And you know what that means, Dom? We got through cheap heat. So give me just a sec here as I fix our cameras.
It's the Italian goodbye.
That's right, the Italian goodbye. Folks, we are not leaving. This is an Italian goodbye, not an Irish goodbye. Irish goodbye, my computer is already off. You don't even know. This is the Italian goodbye. Here's where we start to say goodbye to each other. And then after that, you know, we end up just kind of hanging out here. So anybody in chat, you guys want to say anything you want? Ask us anything about anything. Let us know.
We're going to talk a little backlash here coming up in 2 weeks from today, since we're covering the April 19th SmackDown on April 20th, which is Saturday. 2 weeks. It's going to be Saturday, May 4th. Backlash from Europe, so it'll be an afternoon start here on the East Coast, here in southern New Jersey.
Okay.
It'll be a morning start out on the other time zones in the U.S.
Yeah.
So even Central, it'll be a late morning for you. Mountain, you'll be just having Sunday brunch there out on the Pacific, and maybe Hawaii. You'll have to get up early in the morning or just stay up extra late Saturday.
Right.
It was Friday night to catch this. What do you think about it? We like the afternoons. It's like a college football Saturday, right?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be perfect. Because if it's at night, it's not like I could go over your house or you come over my house at night, and then we do Don't Bury the Lead, and then it's 1:30 a.m. You
Yes.
know, so we always do it remote.
Yeah.
But with this one, are you interested in doing it live?
We could do it live from the same place.
Yeah,
You could do that.
yeah.
I would be interested in trying that again. I will head up to your Don't Bury the Leads master studios there
Yeah, the master studio. Yeah, we
on
could
a
do it.
Saturday
We
afternoon.
could do
Yeah.
it in the studio. We could have fun. If it's really nice, maybe we could do it out on the back porch. But
We will have to check the weather for that weekend as we get closer to it. Early May, it could still be iffy. You never know.
for sure.
I mean, a week ago here in April, I was a week and a half ago. I was still wearing a heavy coat.
Yeah, and it was raining this morning, but then it
Right?
cleared out. It was beautiful this
Yeah.
afternoon. So, yeah, we'll have to check it out. But yeah, you could come over, watch the show. I could take you home, and yeah, we'll figure out the ride situation.
Well, no need for you to come all the way down here. It's the middle of the day. I can bus and train it up there. I'll
Okay.
throw the laptop into the bag along with the headphones and maybe the mic. We'll have to figure out because we did this for Elimination Chamber, which was from Perth, Australia.
Uh-huh.
We kind of watched most of it separately, and then the main event, and then we did the 2-man booth for
Right.
a very special Don't Bury the Lead live stream on a weekend there.
Yeah, I have to get a better mic too. So that's a takeaway for me. There's
Maybe
some-
a room mic or a way for us to both have our separate mics feeding into the same mixing board. That would be interesting, though.
We could do the room mic. There's a mic that Liz has, and I'll have to test it out and see if it works. But it's in the basement, so I'll play around with that mic, see if it works.
Sure.
And all we really need is just to put it in between us and then talk. And if you can hear us, then we're good.
Sure, we're sitting at the same desk. It's like the old news anchor days, right?
Yeah.
Or at WWE, AEW, the broadcast booths. They each have their own mics, but they're on the same announce table there.
Right.
We don't anticipate any bodies going through the announce table.
Hey, listen, I got to grab something from the downstairs. So entertain the fans. There's 2 people watching.
This will be something relevant for our show here for the Italian goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Now, this is going to be good. Let's play in the chat. What do you think John is going to get? What could he possibly be going to get here that he's going to show us? He already got his coffee with him. It's 9 something on a Saturday evening. So yes, he's drinking coffee at night. If that were me drinking coffee at night, forget it. I'm not getting to sleep. I am a caffeine lightweight. Just so you know, I don't do caffeine. So whenever I do have a little bit of caffeine, it's forget about it. You know what I'm saying? It's the Italian goodbye. Forget about it. I'm done with the caffeine. I'm awake forever. So I don't think he's going to get a coffee. Not going to get another kind of beverage. I think he's pretty set with his beverages. Is he going to get a slice of pizza? I don't know. I don't think he's going to get a slice of pizza. He might be going to get a very special person to join us here at the Don't Bury the Leave booth. He may be going to get us a third person in the booth here. Perhaps a very special addition to our Don't Bury the Lead webcast here. So I do wonder if it is a person. I don't want to blurt out and say what it is just in case it's not. But there may be a very special person who may be joining us. Maybe he could be going to get that room microphone that he was talking about to maybe test that out for the rest of the Italian goodbye here. Maybe he's going to get a slice of pizza. Maybe, it's snack time there at John's palatial estate. And, he's got a hankering for a leftover slice of pizza. I don't know. That's the kind of thing I would do, except I don't really have leftover pizza. Pizza doesn't make it the second day with me. You know what I mean? If I take leftover pizza from another place where I was at, that pizza's gone the next day. There is no shelf life for pizza in the Dom household. It's just done. I like to say that every pizza is a personal pizza if you believe in yourself. So yeah, I just don't know what leftover pizza really is. I don't have that. But if there is leftover pizza, perhaps he's just having very good manners for the other people he was enjoying the pizza with. Perhaps he's coming back with a pizza. I don't know. I'm trying to eat light this evening because I have a big day of eating tomorrow. I am crashing a wedding on Sunday. I got a real good friend of mine. His daughter's getting married. And he says to me, we got a minimum for the amount of guests we're supposed to have for the caterer. And, my daughter and her husband-to-be, they were very good about inviting just about 98 people in case a couple of more people show up. They bring the +1 and whatever unannounced. And you wind up with about 100 people there because they need 100 people. Well, the opposite happens. They have a few people back out. My friend says to me, can you be an extra guest? And I said, what, like I'm a stunt guest now? Like the stunt man for movies? Like you take out the regular actor and the stunt actor goes in. Suddenly the stunt man comes in. Am I a stunt guest for, a regular guest couldn't make it? I'm the stunt guest. I come in for the dangerous thing. And he said, yeah, we could go with that. You could be the stunt guest. I'm like, I'm in. I'll be the stunt guest. No problem. I'll be the stunt guest. So I'm going to be the stunt guest tomorrow at a wedding. I'm going to it. Yes, I have met his daughter, through him and his wife, obviously the family. I'm friends with him. And I know his wife as well, friendly with his family. So yes, I've met his daughter before. Lovely young woman getting married. So congratulations to her. But I'm going to enjoy being the stunt guest. I'm just, last minute stuff. But I remember from Bull Durham, if you don't know what to get people for their wedding, candlesticks always make a good wedding gift. So I do. I'm not spoiling it here. They're probably at their rehearsal dinner now. So if they do wind up watching, don't bury the lead before. I'm going to spoil the surprise here. But I got them. The scented candles. They're in a nice gift box. Bada bing. There's the card. It says have a blessed wedding and a happy marriage. So that's in there with that. It's all that. I'm ready to go. I'm crashing a wedding tomorrow. I'm going to be the stunt guest. I don't think it would be really good if I leaned into the whole stunt guest thing. I wear the helmet, the elbow pads, the knee pads, and I just show up like that. And people are like, who are you? I say, I'm the stunt guest. They call me in for the scenes where things get a little risky and dangerous. I'm glad to see you here. Who's you? Where's your helmet? And people are like, I don't have a helmet. What do you mean a stunt guest? I'm like, oh, well, this is the scene. This is it. You weren't told about the stunts? Oh, well, you just do the best you can. Good luck. So maybe I'm not going to lean into it that hard, but, I'm the stunt guest. I'm just going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy it. It's at a historic sort of something or other, which is a lot of these wedding venues. It's some historic thing, big old room. You got the wedding reception there. So I'm going there. I'm crashing a wedding. I got the scented candles. I got the card. I got everything. I'm going to wear this sport coat because, hey, that's a snappy looking sport coat. I'm going to wear a collared shirt. I'll put on a tie. I'm going to spiff up. It's going to be like WrestleMania. I'm going to have a tie on. So yeah, like weddings to me are like WrestleMania. You wear a tie. Or any WWE pay-per-view or any other major wrestling pay-per-view for that matter. You wear the tie. So I'm going to the wedding. It's a buffet style wedding. So it's not like I got stuck with whatever entree the other people ordered who I'm filling in for. And to be honest, I don't have the allergies to the food. I'll eat whatever. So I would have eaten whoever's entree was there that I was filling in for. But knowing that it's a buffet, I'm on my own anyway. So it's going to be fun crashing the wedding. So there's going to be hors d'oeuvres, I'm sure. The question will be is, do I stay long enough for there to be cake? I used to be much more of a dessert guy than I am now. But, I will not turn down desserts. I try to lay off desserts unless it's a Sunday. I was getting into that habit of cutting out sweets during the week. So, on a Sunday, I'll go for a slice of wedding cake or whatever else they have there. So I'm ready for it. So, John, what were you getting for us? We had a lot of guesses going on, mostly from me because I can't see the live chat. You are the director and producer of these great Don't Bury the Lead live streams.
I needed to get two things.
Okay.
I got a La Croix drink.
Okay, so you did go for a beverage.
I went for a beverage, and I got some more cough drops because I ran out of cough drops, and I don't know if you could tell I've been coughing a lot up here.
You have been politely for our listening audience covering the mouth and muting the mic. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wondering if you weren't going to get more coffee because you already had that.
Yeah.
I wondered if you were going to get a slice of pizza. Maybe there was leftover pizza.
Oh, actually, there is. So we had Baby John's first birthday party today.
Okay, see, I thought maybe you were going to get Baby John and bring the third man onto the booth here.
The third man? Who's the
He's
third
the
man?
third man!
No, it wasn't. Baby John's asleep. I thought I was. Well, I almost
That's
grabbed.
No excuse. He could come onto the program asleep.
I almost grabbed. So we have an assortment of bagels downstairs. So all kinds of bagels, like all kinds of. So I was gonna grab one and bring that up and eat it. Then I thought, I'm not sure if I want to eat that big of a thing on the stream.
You could have brought the whole tray up and seen if anybody in the chat had a selection for you as to which one you should eat first. This could have been interactive.
I messed up.
I started going through all that. I was talking to people about pizza and how leftover pizza doesn't last in my humble abode here. We don't really know what leftover pizza is. Then I just got into, the wedding crasher stuff.
So question for you. You don't eat dessert on the weekday.
I only do. Yeah, I started doing it during Lent. It's a Christian thing.
Yeah.
I was getting rid of all the sweets. Unless it was, the feast day, which is Sunday. So I was doing that, and then I just kept going with it. And it's one of those things where, if I keep doing it, then it's good for me.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you pick up a good habit, keep doing it.
Oh, for sure.
And I wonder if this is going to be a good habit because I really don't need the sweets. And they do kind of affect me more than they did when I was 20-something.
Yeah. They stick to you, right?
It's not that they stick to me weight-wise. It's just that I just don't feel good. I can feel what all of the processed sugar does to my energy level.
If you eat like a Snickers bar, you feel like garbage.
Yeah, it's not good. So I don't eat it that often. We have a fantastic. I live in a small town here called Clayton, New Jersey. We have a fantastic homemade ice cream parlor called Twin Kiss. And I am not being paid to say this. They're fantastic. I have not been there yet this year because when they opened up, it was like middle of March 15th or so, that Friday. So I wasn't having sweets. It was still Lent. And really, since then, I haven't been back, especially on a Sunday. There's always something else I'm doing on a Sunday. So I haven't been down there for, a big old double. I used to get the 3-scoop cones, and now I'm down to the 2-scoop cones.
Okay. You're weaning yourself off.
I'm weaning myself. It's fantastic ice cream. It's homemade. It's got to be healthier for you than the stuff with the shelf life you buy in the supermarket.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Better ingredients. It's made much closer to when you're going to consume it. Better stuff. So it's better for you. But I I don't think I could do the triple scoops anymore. I eat a little more slowly. It starts to melt, especially if it's hot out.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the 2 scoops is better for me. The big old double scoop of, I don't know, butter pecan or salted pretzel caramel or whatever. I like the ice cream varieties that have some texture to them, some chunks of stuff in them, like the butter pecans have the pecans in them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the ones that have the mini Reese's peanut butter cups in them, or the salted caramel pretzel has the little pretzel pieces in there.
Oh, hell yeah. I know what you're talking
It
about.
makes it seem like it's more of a meal to me.
Now, question for you.
Sure. Tell me in the chat, what's your favorite ice cream variety?
If you could
maybe it's the kind that I can find over at this wonderful family-owned, non-franchise, fresh-made ice cream parlor that I can, it's
this
3 blocks away from me here in Clayton.
This homemade ice cream, do you feel better about it when you eat it rather than if you were to eat something else like a Snickers bar? Like you don't feel as crappy afterwards?
Part of it might be that because I eat it while I'm outside and walking.
Okay.
I'm active as I'm eating it. So it's pretty good. It's always like, I'll take a walk, wind up at the ice cream parlor, get the double scoop cone, and then the thing is I keep walking until I finish the ice cream cone.
Okay.
In its entirety, including the cone.
Oh yeah,
you gotta eat the cone. The idea is that there's no evidence left by the time I make it home.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that I've been to the ice cream parlor by the time I get to my front door here.
So here's a question for you.
Sure.
You cut out sweets for all days except Sunday.
Yep.
Did you substitute anything? Like, do you have fruit in the house, or do you have?
I was not doing a heck of a lot of sweets to begin with. I had sort of weaned myself off. I used to have a lot of sweets until I suffered the great cake hangover of 2019.
What was that?
I ate way too much chocolate fudge icing cake and literally had a headache the next morning when I woke up. like I had the throbbing headache. And now I've got to go to work. And it's like, I'm not hungover. I had too much cake, and I get to work. And of course, that's the day it's somebody in my row of coworkers. It's their birthday. So there's donuts and there's cake and there's muffins at their table because everybody brings in and we got to celebrate. It's your birthday. And I'm sitting there catty corner to this person. I like this person, good coworker. I'm like, oh my goodness, no, I can't get it away from me. I had a cake hangover. Oh my goodness. But I tell you, I had to make some life choices after the great cake hangover. And I got to tell you, I did.
I love it.
I did. I made some life choices. I started weaning myself off of them pretty good. It's to the point now where I will not do it as much, and now I'm not doing it unless it's a Sunday, maybe Saturday night if I'm at a place Saturday night. But it's basically that second half of the weekend thing, where I'm doing it. We had coffee and donuts at church a few weeks ago, back in March, and I was part of the group there at church that was hosting it and setting up the donuts, making the coffee for people, all that stuff. So I was out there with my friend who I'm going to his daughter's wedding tomorrow. Crashing the wedding is the stunt guest. I got the candlesticks, Bull Durham, bada bing. We're going to have a great time. So I was there and, we've got all the donuts and, I'm sitting there. Well, I got to test the donuts. So I tested a few donuts. I didn't take a bite and put it back. I ate the whole freaking donut. Like I'm not insane here.
Yeah.
Just take a bite and throw it away. No. You eat the whole donut. There's no leftovers here. So, I had a few donuts. It was early in the morning. I got to tell you, though, by later on that afternoon, I was like, I don't feel so good. Like it honestly, the processed sugars, it messes with your immune system. It does. It messes with how I feel, messes with my immune system. And it's even for the way foods have changed, even since I've been alive. I'm in my 40s here. Back in the 80s, you go to McDonald's for a a burger and fries and a Coke. And like, it's not the greatest thing for you, but it's not like garbage. Since then, like these fast food companies, McDonald's stopped using beef tallow for their fries. They're using seed oils now. The beef is not as good quality because the cows are jacked up with all the crap. All the medications and stuff, because they're all just, confined to their cages. And the Coke is, they got rid of real sugar in Coke and switched to the high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
So like it used to be in the 80s, if I was a little kid, the fast food McDonald's burger, fries, and Coke, that was better food for you than the burger, fries, and Coke of 2024.
Interesting. Really interesting stuff. I have to say,
you got to watch. There's so much crap out there. You got to be careful. You got to pay more attention to stuff.
It's almost like now if you go out and you get like an artisan hamburger, that's probably what you were getting at McDonald's in the 80s.
Like, oh, this is a real beef cow, and it wasn't like chucked full of hormones and crap.
Yeah.
It's just a normal cow that had a normal cow life on a farm, and then you butchered it and made cow burgers and stuff, whatever. It's like, and they used to, because they were a beef company, they would save the beef fat for tallow and then use that for the fries.
Yeah.
But then they switched to seed oils, which I've been cutting out too. So aside from not, I'm giving you the Italian answer here.
Yeah.
I've been eating more snacking nuts, hazelnuts, almonds, cashews, and not like the flavored kinds that got all the crap on them. I try to get them dry roasted because I don't like them roasted in the seed oils.
Yeah.
Because again, they're not, they're roasting them and other stuff. So dry roasted, just oven roasted stuff is really good. They can be salted or not. I don't really care for all the extra salt. I'm not trying to watch my salt. In fact, one of the things I do when I wake up in the morning is I sprinkle a little salt in my mug and then have a water with salt in it, because that's good for you. You get the electrolytes, some of the salt. So I'm not averse to salt, but I just don't need it. I mean, I like the snacking nuts, just roasted, how they roasted almonds, roasted hazelnuts, roasted walnuts.
It's a preference.
Cashews. Yeah, I like how they are. I won't turn them away if they're salty. They don't have to be covered in salt. I do notice if they've been roasted in the oil though, and like I'd rather not have that.
And Dom, before we keep going here, we have one person on YouTube that's been been listening to us yammer. Why don't you go ahead and hit us a like and hit a subscribe? We had 2 people here for a while, but once you started going too deep into the woods here about the food, they dropped off. So
they dropped off.
The one person on YouTube, can you hit the subscribe button? That'd be great. We're here every Friday night, and it helps our small channel out so much. So appreciate it if you were to do that. And if you don't want to hit the subscribe, hit the like. It's a plus sign, right?
Hit the like on the video. Thank you very much. Yeah, we've had some good traction on these full shows. Our most recent live stream, over 260 views on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was fantastic. We're getting way up in the view counts, even for our live streams. These full Don't Bury the Lead shows that we do, where we recap a wrestling program that you and I have actually watched.
Yeah. And then we talk about some of the rumor mills, and then we just talk into the Italian goodbye about God knows what. But
whatever. We went all over the place today. The rumors were going crazy when you stepped out to go get something. You're going to have to, John, you will have to play back this program and find out what we talked about when you were off getting whatever it is you were getting.
I think we've got about 8 or 9 silly shorts from the Italian goodbye. So I love it, Dom. I think it's about time, though, to call it quits. So
we'll call it quits. I got to get up tomorrow. I got to crash a wedding.
That's true. You got to get up. You got to crash that wedding.
I'm the stunt guest. It sounds like a Seinfeld episode, doesn't it? The stunt guest.
Well, thank you so much for joining, everyone. Always appreciate it. Thanks for hanging in here till the end. My name's John Dell. This is Dom Scarcella. And, we do this every Friday night. We recap WWE Smackdown, and we have fun afterwards. So, join us whenever you can, and check out our YouTube channel. That's where all these videos live. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your evening.